my name is Kaitlyn. I'm originally from Turtle Island, also known as Canada.
I'm Anna. I'm from Aotearoa, New Zealand. Yeah, July 2023 we started.
After a few days, a few months of dating, that thing when things were more serious and we kind of were projecting towards the future of like, where do we see ourselves one year from now? And I think we were both at stages in our careers that we were quite ready to step away from the jobs that we were doing. And we both realized where we were with coming to our later half of our 20s that we were both interested in traveling. So it was like, okay, this time next year, let's be traveling somewhere together.
Yeah, I think it's natural sometimes that like obviously like fear pops up, and I think it's just really important in a partnership to like state that those fears, and I think just continuing to have conversations about the future is something that makes us both feel really secure.
For sure.
But also allowing that like flexibility. And then I think it's important too that it's just like when you find the right person that, and I think that this is something that's comforting that you would always say to me, that it's like, what's 10 months in a lifetime, right? When you're like, it's 10 months, we're looking at forever. So it's like really what, 10 months isn't that much when we're looking at the grand scheme. So I think having that perspective and also being with a partner that's like, we're on the same vision, that like, this is my person. Like, I think it's like, you know, the end goal of just like when you want to look back at your life and you're old and grey is you know, you want to have a life full of stories and experiences. I think it's natural with long distance that people might have questions pop up with that, especially when there's so much physical time apart. And I think I really appreciate the long distance because then I realized ways that I had taken you for granted. I think when you're always in the same space, then you don't realize like how precious it is. And it's just like, that time apart, I think
really allows you to appreciate what your partner has to offer. So I think just having like that time, that there's been ebbs and flows, but it's always kind of like evaluating that, and then just like it allows you to take stock of like, what are the things that I really appreciate about this person? What is it when I'm like, I consider my own values and what I want in my life and what I want with a life partner. I think it's definitely been like integral to getting us where we are in our relationship today. I think the things that I think a couple could realize within like 10 to 15 years together of like living in the same
it's
city.
It's kind of in a pressure cooker.
It's like all of that kind of got compounded into like a short span of time for us of really having to learn in a short span of time, how do we navigate this together? You know, when the reality was we were living 4 hours away from each other in New Zealand, and then we just went from that to being together 24/7 and traveling. It suddenly threw us in of being really like, okay, like I love this person now. It's really time that we're really going to learn about each other, that we're really going to see all the aspects of each other, that we're going to have, you know, challenges pop up. You're seeing everything.
But I would say like generally with talking about values, I would say like the nature aspect is a core component for like how we travel, whether that's just like when you're asking, like I think nature has always been something that's brought us together with like when we first started hiking together in Aotearoa, and that's kind of our travel style is getting outside, camping, pushing ourselves physically, and also just like connecting with the different landscapes is really important, and that allows us to also connect with community in really intentional ways.
Yeah, I think a core part of our relationship is more so just like trying to push ourselves into new things and doing the things that feel scary. And I think with all the challenges that come with traveling, that's kind of been a way of doing that. Yeah.
I think for me, when I went to Aotearoa, the reason I really like working holiday visas is because it allows you to be like really present in that space. I know sometimes when you're working remotely, sometimes you're working solo or the time differences don't allow you to kind of have your clock or your body clock around the same time as people in that area. So when I had gone there, for an example, I was able to connect with someone really beautifully and was able to live with them for the 3 years and being connected and learning the language and being immersed in Te Ao Māori. And for me, the benefits of that was just yeah, you just get to be really immersed in local life and food and the language, and it allows you to feel like you live there and picturing more of a life and more of a community. So I think first and foremost, that's really important. And then as we're in a place, yeah, we just try our best to be as immersed when that's coming to like trying to learn some aspects of the language, to trying to understand cultural nuances.
Yeah, the cultural nuances is a big one.
Is really important. Just making sure that we're as respectful as we can. And then maybe from like a spirituality point of view for myself, like, and I think Anna as well, that's kind of happened together, is just being really mindful of like, especially sometimes Indigenous histories and asking for permission sometimes if we're traveling to different lands.
Places you're in.
Passage and protection as we are visitors to every place that we go to.
That is everything, you know, it's not just like going to the mountains, but it's understanding what is the local relationship with these mountains, what is the stories, what is the history. If I'm eating these amazing dishes, how did this dish come to be? Like, you know, like there's just like the cultural context is everything. So
yeah.
It's great. No.
Yeah, I think that comes back to that conversation that kind of weaves in nicely of like, again, when you're talking about privilege and positionality of when we're, obviously we have a certain set of privileges as well as two white cis women who are going into spaces.
Coming from two countries that have also legalized same-sex marriage.
Yeah. But still also being mindful that for safety reasons, that when we're in some places that maybe we can't present as a couple, and being really mindful of that as well. So I think sometimes, yeah, there is a safety concern that we have to be really aware of just, you know, we can't necessarily hold hands in public spaces or show affection or just...
if someone's trying to ask us like, oh, are you guys sisters or are you friends? Like, we're not trying to correct them.
Depending on how we feel, is it safe to be ourselves in places? So I think that that's something to be mindful of like when we're traveling, sometimes it doesn't allow for us to be our authentic selves. I think it's just mindful of like, checking in with each other, looking at laws, looking at also the local people in the area and seeing like what does public displays affection or what does queerness look in that specific context. Yeah, it obviously queer love is beautiful. So yeah, and it's really nice when there's times where we feel really safe just to be ourselves and just to express that, but there's all those other times where maybe it isn't safe enough for us to do that. And yeah, we can definitely link in some resources to you of like, when we travel, we use somewhere, it's called a website, Everywhere is Queer. So we like to support queer businesses and like going out into those spaces and knowing where people are and being in community and celebrating community and supporting those local communities because we are everywhere.
I think, next times that we're like traveling, like say if we're, you know, we're doing like a few countries across South America, I think if I was to do that again, I would be potentially more mindful about checking in, like kind of just doing that like couples check in within like a safe space, and it's just the two of us of like, you know, were there times today that you felt disconnected from me because of having to be conscious of not presenting or, like, as a couple? Because when you're doing that over a prolonged period of time, like, you know, it does subconsciously seep in a little bit. And like that's been an interesting conversation that we've seen of like other queer couples online of like when you're constantly trying to act like you're not a couple, it can take a while to kind of like mentally undo some of that. So I think I would be more intentional next time about having more check-ins about that.
And then one other thing that we've done that's been like really helpful that I'd recommend if other queer couples were traveling is like we had made rings before going traveling. And that was a way for us that if we were in spaces where it didn't feel safe enough to be presenting as a couple, then this would be a way of connecting. So it's like a simple touch, or if there was like microaggressions that we were experiencing and like we can't really respond in the time because it wasn't safe enough, then it'd be like just kissing the ring,
a little like touch of the ring
it
kind
would
of
be
thing.
a subtle way of like communicating together. So if there's a piece of jewelry or something like that I would really recommend having that to stay connected.
Oh yeah, we're friends.
Oh, yeah. I would say for every single couple.
Every couple, not just queer couples.
You need to read this book. It's 8 Dates, Essential Conversations for a Lifetime of Love by the Gottman. Yeah.
John and Julie Gottman.
Yeah, so I really recommend this book. I just think every single couple, whether you're just starting to date to 20 years of marriage, I think it's just a really important way to
Very
come
good
back
conversations,
to each other
yeah.
and like has really important conversations that inevitably will always come up.
Yeah, it helps with like structured communication around like topics that can be areas of like concern or conflict within a relationship. It just really helps you to like navigate those conversations and like ultimately just build like more beautiful, stronger relationship. So yeah. Bye.